John Solomon, award-winning investigative reporter, editor-in-chief of Just the News. Great to have you with us. Do you find it even a little bit amusing that of all people, Chuck Grassley would be talking as if he had just discovered what's at stake here going into the presidential election?
Well, no, not at all. Senator Grassley early on was one of the people who got us the Strzok emails when other people were saying there was no collusion, there was no conspiracy against the president. Mm-hmm. He did a lot of the early groundwork to try to find the documents and evidence that now have become part of the narrative that showed that the president was targeted by false accusations by a bureaucracy intent on removing him from office. But I think the frustration that's in Senator Grassley's voice is being voiced by more and more Republicans every day. And this is why. There is overwhelming evidence in the public record now that crimes were committed inside the Russia investigation, falsification of documents, false testimony, false representations before the FISA court. And we are now 3 years into that revelation, and nobody really has been brought to justice in the courts. And I think that's why people are frustrated. My sources tell me there's a lot of activity. I'm seeing personally activity behind the scenes that the Justice Department is trying to bring those first indictments. And I would look for a time around Labor Day to see the first sort of action by the Justice Department. But for those who know the real story and see all this evidence sitting out in open, it is overwhelmingly frustrated to see no action.
Yeah, and it's, let's be honest, I mean, this has been slow walked by Republican rhinos as well as radical Dems over the course of the past 3 years.
That's true. Listen, Paul Ryan's Congress had an opportunity. Yeah, you're right, Lou. Paul Ryan's Congress, 2018.
And Mitch McConnell's Senate as well.
That's right.
That's my view.
That's very true.
It's sickening to see what's happening. Do you think there will be prosecutions before the elections?
I'm seeing a lot of activity consistent with building prosecutions and preparing for criminal plea bargains. That doesn't mean it will happen until someone signs and until they bring it before the grand jury. You never know if it's going to happen, but I'm seeing a lot of activity consistent with that. I hear from people, defense lawyers, people on the prosecution side, that there are some complications with COVID-19 just slowing down the grand jury process. But everything I'm seeing on the ground, real reporting, suggests that there's an ongoing criminal investigation intent on bringing indictments and possibly some plea bargains, and that the first actions, the first evidence of it in the public will probably be around Labor Day. That's an awful long time to wait, but I do see activity that looks like they're building a criminal case right now.
Well, we're all hoping you are exactly right. You've got a damn good track record, so we're pulling for you on another one. Let's turn to the false allegations about the Russian-born scholar in Britain, and the pretext that was created by the FBI, the CIA, as a predicate for what became a persecution of General Michael Flynn.
Oh, it's such a tragic story of just outright false lies being put into the media, being put into documents, being bandied about by informants, and becoming the basis for an investigation for which there was no factual basis. It was all false. Everything that was said about General Flynn, about the scholar, was provably false at the time it was said, and yet we persisted with an investigation, persisted to ruin General Flynn's career for quite some time. When this is all done, the people that were involved in that need to be brought to account. It's a sickening episode in American law enforcement history.
You know, we don't have time to get into it, but Stephen Halper, we just don't hear the name anymore. I wonder why.
I think you're going to hear something more about him in the next week or so. I'm working on a story looking at some of his activities in this investigation, and I think we're going to learn some new things about Stephen Halper very soon, Lou.
Look forward to it, John. Thanks for being with us. John Solomon.